It's a beautiful snare drum. Ah, goodness. We're rolling. Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to Literary Gladiators. This is a show where we discuss and we debate literature in all of its forms. And this is some really darn good literature right here. If it's written work, it's game. This is Charlie doing another individual video. In my last video, I spoke about Maya Angelou and a beautiful work she wrote. I almost remember. Exceptional. But in this individual video, I'm going to talk about one of my biggest loves in life, and it's not food. Drums. Specifically, snare drums. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I'm just going to... This cookie crumb right here, see? Told you. I got this for Christmas. It was a $30 book. My mom said to the man, this book has been thumbed through. Take $10 off or something. He did. Basically, this is this vintage snare drums, the Curotto Collection, Volume 1, Rare American-made 1900s to the 1940s. And there's some contemporary, more modern drums in here. A lot of these drums are Ludwig drums. These are, like I said, all snare drums. So no bass drum, no tom-tom, stuff like that. And there's actually the Ludwig himself, who actually patented the first bass drum pedal way back when, and he was a really innovative person for the drum company, for the drumming industry. This is truly a remarkable anthology of our early drums. William Floyd Ludwig II. And this was back from 1999, where he quoted that at a drum clinic, where they all go once a year. It's called NAMM. NAMM. I don't know exactly what that stands for. Shame on me, but still. I'm just going to talk about a few of them that I found to be really interesting. I read this all during the day, all during Christmas, even during Christmas dinner. Okay, but still. Let's get started here. How old would you think this drum here? It's bright, shiny, looks like it's been out of the box only a couple days. This drum is almost 80 years old. And why? They found it in a storage closet somewhere, and actually in here, they're calling this a time capsule, and I'm just going to show you the artwork. These people, these drum creators, they're not makers, I call them creators. They put their heart and soul with the stenciling. They don't do that these days. You have to have it custom made. One of the drums in here was actually found on a riverboat, or was used by a drummer who played in a riverboat band. Okay, great. And basically, it's being that it's in near mint condition, it's been sitting untouched in a New York City Masonic lodge, untouched for almost 75 years. And it's now even older because it's a 1926 model. What Ludwig, they have their deluxe standard model. They have all different types of models. They're super classic, this, that, super sound, super sensitive, super phonic. That's Ludwig alone. They have all these different types of models, and they all give you a separate, distinct sound from a different drum. Most people look at a snare drum or a couple of snare drums and say, "Why? What's the difference?" There's a big difference. Some drummers actually use more than one snare drum on their setup, myself included, but that was for a little bit. Basically what happened, someone opened up the closet door and they found it. And they opened up the case and holy cow. So, being that this was from 1926 to 1927, let's round it up to 1930. I'm not good at math, but we're going to round it to 1930. That's what? 80 years ago? It's 2017, 87. So, this book was also written, I think, in 2006. So, the book is somewhat dated, to my knowledge here. But still. And I'll tell you about the author in a moment. So, that I found to be really interesting. There's a few others in here. This one here is really deep. It was unusual for the time. It's a CG Con model. I don't know too much about them. Gold plating, not actual gold, but it's, you know, stamped with some, you know. And over time, drums changed. You know, the heads were actual animal skins. On this one here, this is a Ludwig Super Sensitive. I'm sorry, a Deluxe New Era sensitive model, okay? This is how good they are. These two levers up here basically are for the internal muffler, so the drum doesn't ring out too much. 9 times out of 10 you find a drum, like usually a snare drum, that has an internal muffler on the top. This one had it on both, top and bottom. Okay, these people were very creative. Ludwig, Slingerland, and Gretsch, they were the most creative at the time. So it didn't really catch on though in the drumming world, as they say here. Something I didn't know. I found another drum. There's actually 2 of them in this book. I had it bookmarked, but I was just looking through it again real quick and saying to myself, I really need another snare drum. I have about 4 already. There was some in here that have a heating element, and that basically, that was this one here, so 1931. It looks almost brand new because these have been either sitting in museums and having a, you know, it's a Ludwig standard model, 6.5 inches deep, which is going to give you a deep sound, and it's 14 inches round diameter. And it's got the animal skin, the calf skin. In 1951, 1957, around that time period, they came up with the plastic drum head, and that was Remo. And I use his heads. And he just passed, sadly, a little while ago. So, but because of Remo, we're not killing animals anymore for their skins. We're actually now using plastic. And in the 1960s is when it really took off. And here's a Gretsch snare drum. Gretsch, they're very good. Excellent. Not a fan, but still. Right here, you got your internal muffler control. This here is just to turn the snares on and off. I'm going to talk about one more drum that I found really interesting. Actually 2, but the other one, I don't... the picture, I can't find it in here. Because there's... This one here actually has a little tiny drumstick clipped onto it for a rim shot effect, because you would chew up your stick, so they had part of one put on there. I thought that was outrageous. Who did it? Ludwig and Ludwig. They were brothers, and founded the Ludwig Drum Company. So they've done, you know, this one is their 90th anniversary, 1999. Good stuff, you know. But you got your German-made Leedy, you know, and they actually had double snares on the top and bottom. That's normally found with the Scottish band. Like I play with a Scottish band, I've said it 100 times. So they have the dual snare system on the top head, but also on the bottom head as usual. But this last one I want to talk about, actually, being that it had the calf heads, the skin, that's why they would call it the skins. Hey, get on the skins. They were actual skins. So, thank you, Remo. We appreciate it, because we don't like killing animals. Okay, I just went right by it. Alright. Now, this is a German innovation. This little socket right here is a heating element. And basically, this is another Ludwig snare drum. I'm talking about old Ludwig right now, but this little socket was not for a microphone, because they didn't have them back then. Well, they did, but they were garbage. It was actually for a heating element. And what that did is it actually kept the 2 heads that were the animal skins. It would keep them dry, and it would also keep them nice and even while playing. So, I'm just going to... You know, great book. Excellent book. The author has Michael Curotto. He's been teaching privately since 1963. So he's a great writer. He has over 500 snare drums in his home. Great book. I would invest in it. And the writer himself has, I think, over 500 snare drums alone, okay? I've met people who have more than one set of drums in their home. I've actually studied with someone who had about 80 drum sets in his house. And yeah, but they were all stacked up. And it was a bigger house, but he had about 80 to almost 90 drum sets. A lot of them were vintage made. Slingerland, like, just look on the internet. You know, I'm giving you permission to actually use Google instead of a book right now. Cardinal Sin right here. And in Josh's library. But still, the thing with the heating element, that blows my mind. I didn't know about that. But, you know, again, thank you, Remo. We appreciate it. And that's his name, actually. That was his name. And, well, you can't go wrong with the 1979 model. And it looks brand new. It looks like you just bought it from a store today, like me. And it actually has what's called a black dot head. Clear, Mylar. That was the secret. It was Mylar. Plastic. But anyway, you know, this... And there's the photographer, Stephen Hagg. He's also, I think, no, he's just a photographer. But they used him because he did... he operates a photo and design studio, so that's a good reason he was chosen. And here's a another one with Bill Ludwig. Okay, you know, William Ludwig. There were 3 of them. He actually autographed the head right there. I'm gonna get as close up as I can on that. How are we looking there, Mr. Camera? Alright. So, and it was actually a ensemble snare drum meant for concerts, not just regular use. There's all different types of snare drums for all different types of models and different types of playing. You know, this one's a deeper model, so you can get a better. I'm not going to say louder, but you can get a. Well, you could, but still. Great book. I would definitely look into it. I got this, you know, for Christmas. It was a gift. But you can get it, I'm sure, on Amazon for, let me see here. There's actually the drummer for Cheap Trick in here. They all have commentary. Hal Blaine, he's and I'm going to go on a very, very small tangent here. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Very small tangent. Hal Blaine was actually one of the biggest biggest drummer of the 1960s and 70s because he actually played on almost every record known to mankind back in the 60s and some of the 70s. I'm not saying he played on every single record, but he was actually one of the most best drummers they had for rock and roll. Buddy Rich hated his guts. Buddy Rich was a big band drummer. Look into him. Great drummer. Excellent, probably one of the world's best, but he was a real of a person. But anyway, that said, I would definitely look into this if you're into drumming or music. It also makes a great gift. Okay, this one is actual gold material, not material. This is an actual gold plated. When they say gold plated, they usually talk about plating it somehow. I don't know the actual construction, but this one here is a Gladstone. They're triumphant. Yeah, it's a prototype, 2005. So I think the book was written in 06, 2006, not 1806. I'm trying to get the copyright date here, 2006. Anyway, like I was saying, this is a great gift idea for your ideal drum lover, you know, whatever. And even if you don't know what to get somebody for Christmas, holiday, whatnot, and you know they're into music, any book about drums is a good book. Or guitars, or the cello. I've actually tripped and fallen over one of those things, and it's very painful. Don't ask why. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the dedication this author wrote. You know, he's wife and kids, so I'm not going to show the picture, but I dedicate this book to my wife and to my daughter for their patience, tolerance, and understanding, but mostly because they put up with me, my 425 plus and counting snare drums, and my passion for collecting vintage snare drums. This book was compiled in 2006, so it's 2017, that's 11 years ago. So it's safe to say this man has over 600 snare drums. And I don't know how many cars he walked in front of and won the lawsuit. Bad joke, but, you know, one drum alone in here, like, let's say this drum right here, back in 1920, that would cost maybe about $30, $45. $45. But back then, you bought a loaf of bread for 13 or 35 cents. You got 15 cents a gallon at the gas station, and they actually took care. They put the air in today you actually have to ask them, can you put some air in my tire? Because I don't know how to do it. I lied, I can, but it's like, do something besides stand there. And anyway, I'm not bashing anyone who pumps gas. Thank you for what you do. Really, I honestly thank you for it. But, great book. And great writing. It's not just all pictures. Some people might look at this and say, it's a picture book. It's not. It is in a way, but there's all descriptions about these drums in here. All these snare drums. And what they were used for. You know, this one here that I wasn't going to go into too much detail, with the dual snares. The top and the bottom. That's why there's two levers. Because when you want to take the snares off, you know, and have it more like a Dumbali sound, or a tom-tom sound, you can do that. But that really also didn't catch on as well with the rock and roll drumming. You know, they said we just want one set of snares so we can just do what we got to do. Okay, fine. But and I learned something from this too. I learned actually quite a few things from this book. And the commentary from other drummers. One is Bunny Carlos. He's the drummer from Cheap Trick. Okay? And I don't know if I mentioned Hal Blaine earlier, but he is one of the best drummers for the rock and roll industry in the 1960s, 1970s. And he was the most in-demand drummer. And the most uncredited drummer. So, if you listen to some of the early records of 60s music, not the Beatles or anything like that, because obviously they had Ringo, but, you know, like studio work. He was a studio drummer, and just amazing work. And he put a whole paragraph or whatnot into this book, saying he thought it was wonderful. So that's my take on the Curotto Collection. That's the gentleman's name. I thought it was Curator, but it's, you know, the font threw me off a little bit. But this is actually the author's collection of drums, snare drums. God bless you, sir, because I want to be you right now. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to Literary Gladiators. Have a great day, great whatever you're doing, enjoy. Right down here in New Jersey, it's freezing cold. I'm actually about to put on a coat. And the other day, I was wearing shorts. Till then, you keep reading. And have a cookie.